Hello and welcome to Stef Talks Trash, the series that explores the intersection of people, profit, and planet through the lens of the waste and recycling industry. I'm your host, Stephanie Valentic, Editorial Director of Waste 360, and today I'll be talking trash with Brian Seevers, the Director of Technical Packaging at Nestlé Purina. First, Brian, I would like to thank you for talking to me today. Can you please start by telling me a little bit about your background and how you came to work on solutions for circular packaging?
Yeah, no, perfect. As we said, I'm the Director of Technical Packaging here at Nestlé Purina. Been with the company a little over 20 years, and I'm really fortunate to lead a really great team of packaging professionals within our packaging group. So I've been in this role for about 3 years. Prior to the packaging team, I worked in some various roles in product development and ingredient development for Nestlé Purina. So as we say in the packaging team, it's really a great time to be part of this group, right? We have a big role to play to deliver on some big Nestlé commitments around sustainability.
So can you talk a little bit more about, what specific commitments that you're working on in terms of sustainability and packaging?
Yeah, no, perfect. I'd say the big ones, our primary goals are around achieving 100% recycle or reusable packaging by 2025. Nestle's made a big commitment to cut their virgin plastic by 1/3, and so we're working hard on that one. And then we also have a goal to incorporate post-consumer resin into our plastic packaging, right? So the goal is to add 30% by 2025. So those are some big ones.
What obstacles are you currently seeing in closed loop manufacturing?
I'd say the biggest one is really around infrastructure, right? So meaning here in the States, we have single stream recycling, which is, as you know, anything that's mixed has to be sorted again, right? So that's one of the big challenges with single stream. So in our journey, I think that one of the biggest things is we have to think beyond our walls, right? To what our infrastructure can actually support. So here at Purina, about 80% of our packaging portfolio by weight is recyclable. We've got an additional 15% of our packaging materials that are what we would call recycle ready, meaning that material is fully capable of being recycled, although most single stream facilities, they just can't handle it, right? So a big piece of that puzzle is achieving that widespread implementation of infrastructure that can support all of that, and also to include flexible packaging.
That's really interesting. Can you explain a little bit more about switching from something that is recycle ready to something that is actionable and ready to be recycled?
Yeah, so you've got materials that, for an example, in our business, we use a lot of metal, right? So metal cans and aluminum cans, and we know those can go through, and at times they're highly sought after. Materials that are really challenging because there's fans that are used in the process and magnets and those sorts of things, but flexible materials tend to kind of gum up the work, so they can be of a particular challenge. So flexible plastics, I'd say the biggest challenge is there's no market for it, right? So that's what we need to do our part, is to help generate that market. I mean, at the end of the day, we want to keep all of these materials out of the landfill, right? We want to reuse them again. So that's kind of the goal.
What opportunities are you seeing with being able to switch to new packaging material?
There's a lot of opportunities, right? So I'll give you an example of some innovation that we've done, right? So we have already in our market, we have a product called Tidy Catch Naturally Strong Litter, right? That's really designed to contribute to a circular economy. So we collaborated and developed this jug, which contains about 50% post-consumer resin, right? And we're able to deliver that level of post-consumer resin without any compromises to the product, the supply chain, and ultimately to our consumers, right? And then keep in mind, we want to operate our business a sustainable way. But the big thing, we cannot compromise on quality, right? We have to deliver a quality product for our consumers. Otherwise, we can't do the things around sustainability we want to do. So just as another example, we ran some tests where we were able to take our, as I mentioned, our large plastic bags. We were able to clean those and grind those up, and we didn't use any water. And we were able to turn those into some caps for our litter jugs. So it's a lot of cool innovation in this space. It's exciting to be a part of it.
Innovation is fantastic, but it also takes a collective effort to create circular systems. So what kind of partnerships or industry groups is Purina engaging with to support these types of solutions?
Yeah, so I mean, as a first step, we kind of need to ask ourselves some key questions, right? How do we turn those packaging materials into a valuable commodity, right? And so as a first step, we need to close that gap by making all of our packaging recyclable, right? And then also the commitments around plastic reduction and post-consumer resin addition, right? And so lastly, like I said, we need to deliver that in a sustainable way. Absolutely investing in that space, right? So back in 2020, you mentioned investments. We participated in a consortium around that was called Material Recovery for the Future. And this was a group of businesses and associations that led to the first successful pilot of really being able to pull those flexible materials out of the waste stream, right, into a single stream environment. So we've also invested in the Recycling Partnership. Purina is a participating member in the Film and Flexibles Coalition. And so we're working to make those recyclable plastic films easier to pull from the waste stream.
In terms of numbers, where are you along in these goals? How much have you been able to convert, and how much are you kind of saving from landfills?
Yeah, the goal at the end of the day is to not have any of it hit landfill, right? And so
exactly.
As a first step, we're making those, again, let's get our house in order. Let's make our packaging fully recyclable. And then let's be a part of that circular economy by creating demand for those materials so we can, reinvest those into our original packaging, right? So, that's the goal, is we don't want anything to go to landfill.
You just mentioned demand, and we mentioned single stream recycling. How should collection services be instituted to handle difficult to sort materials like polypropylene?
Yeah, so we have a couple. Nestlé's investing big in two materials, right? Polyethylene and polypropylene. The bags that I mentioned, that material recovery project, was polypropylene, right? So we know it's a big use plastic, and that was one of the targets for that actual pilot, was polypropylene.
Besides the Tidy Cats product that you mentioned before, are there any other products that are seeing innovation in the packaging space right now?
Yeah, a big part of our portfolio is metal, right? So we continue to drive in that space. We use a lot of aluminum and a lot of steel. So we continue to drive that as part of our portfolio. And today we know, I'll give you an example, right? In our aluminum cans, we only have about 35% recycled content, right? Which is a highly sought after material. So we continue with that consumer education command and support. So we really are relying on our consumers to rinse and recycle those and fuel that circularity within our production. So again, we need to leverage consumer communication, drive awareness, and maximize the opportunity for a circular economy. So to answer your question, we're leveraging that kind of thing in many different ways, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. So what does the future look like for Purina in terms of sustainability goals overall?
Yeah, again, moving to nothing hits the landfill, right? So I'd say one of the cool things is over time we've dedicated a lot of resources and R&D into driving innovation and quality in our products, right? And it's really cool to see some awesome resources be applied to the packaging stream, and specifically innovation in the areas of design for recycle and incorporation of recycled materials into our packaging. I've seen some great innovations in products over the years, and so I'm just really proud to be part of that great team and excited to see what's next.
Thank you once again for joining me for this episode of Stef Talks Trash. For this and other episodes, please visit waste360.com, and don't be trashy.